Today I will teach you the physics as we are studying here in gravitation. In gravitation, universal gravitational force, and discuss about the density and now we are studying is here buoyancy and buoyancy force. We have already studied more, and now today we will study about the density. Sorry, factor affecting the buoyant force. Okay, so one by one we will take here some factor affecting buoyant force. Factors affecting buoyant force. These are the heading factor affecting buoyant force. There are two factors that affect the buoyant force. First is here the weight of an object and the volume of the liquid. So here's the main factors. This is the main factor. Another factor also create a problem, but that effect is not more than this two volume and density of a liquid. So first we will take the density of the fluids. Okay. Density first. There are two main factors that affect buoyant force. That is first is density of the fluid. That is density of fluid and volume of an object immersed in liquid. Volume of an object immersed in liquid. As we had studied that if the density of any object of a liquid will be more, means that if the density of liquid will be more, the increase of the the buoyant force will also be more in upward directions. Okay, so here is the when the density increases, then the increases in immersed object, immersed liquid or fluids, then the buoyant force also increases. It means that density depends, that it means that the density, if the fluids have a more density, means that any object immersed in a liquid will act a more buoyant force, means that object will feel somewhat lighter than that. That is why seawater swimming in seawater is easy, or floating or swimming in sea water is easier than the fresh water, because the density of the seawater due to the presence of the sodium chloride, that is salt, common salt, is more than the fresh water. So that is why it increases. So the volume is second we will discuss about that. First we have discussed about density and the volume of an object. Second is here. Second is here volume of an object. Here, what is volume of the volume of object? As we know that if we increase the volume of object immersed in a liquid, means that the buoyant force also be increases, and that things will always be feel lighter. Okay, so in case of increasing volume of the fluids, the immersed object feel lighter, and buoyant force, sorry, buoyant force says act upwardly of thrust and increases. It means that so there is no effect of any objects materials. Means that if two balls of same volume but different metals are immersed in liquid, then both will float easily. Okay, both will float in easily. So we can say that the buoyant force always increases in case of the volume increases, and in case of the density increases, density of some fluids increases. So here is the volumes, and the floating object of any object is increases, the volume is also increases one by one. Now we will discuss about the second, the nature of the solid object does not, means that nature of the solid nature of object does not nature of solid object does not nature of solid object does not depend on itself. So buoyant force always increases here. Solid object does not increase here, so one by one. And the floating object is also floating of an object in liquids. Here is the floating of an object in liquid. Floating of an object in liquids. Floating of object in liquids. So there is the floating of an object is liquids. There are two forces act on the floating of an object. First, floating of an object first, that is said to be that when the object in liquids weights forms, weight of an object push downward force, and also, and due to the downward force and the buoyant force push upward of thrust force. So this is the conditions by means of which we can say that the buoyant force and of thrust force will increases, and one by one there will be conditions by means of which we can say that how can we say that any object, when object is increases and decreases, the conditions by means of which we can say that so one by one we will increase here. Density of an liquid, we have studied it, depend upon the floating and the sinking of an object. Floating and the sinking of an object, we will discuss about floating and sinking of an object. It's I have three rules that any object will sink or floats. I have three rules. First rule is here that if the buoyant force is first conditions is here that if the buoyant force or upthrust force exerted by buoyant force or upthrust force exerted by the liquid on an object is less than the object will sink. Object will sink. Okay, object will sink. And second, if the buoyant force or upthrust force, if the buoyant force or upthrust force is equal to the object that was immersed in a liquid is then the object will always be float. And the third conditions, if the object buoyant force of an object immersed in a liquid is higher than the force of higher than that of the objects, then that object weight of that object, then that object will float upward on the upper surface of the coming surface of the water, so it will float more also. It will force more. These are three conditions by means of any object can float in a liquids by means of the upthrust force. Okay, thank you very much for coming. So once again, I will give you my warm welcomes. Next times I will teach you the density of liquid. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.